Hello students. In the previous lectures we have discussed the chemical equilibrium, and in that the one of the important principle, that was the Le Chatelier principle, we have discussed in the last class. Okay, so in that last lectures again the importance of the Le Chatelier principles as well as the applications of the Le Chatelier principle, that is for the industrial synthesis of ammonia as well as for the sulfur trioxide synthesis, that we were discussed in the previous lectures. Okay, and now in this lecture we are going to start a new topic, that is ionic equilibrium in solutions. Okay, so up to now you have read about the chemical equilibrium. That means mostly in the equilibrium chemicals are involved. Okay, that means what was the chemical equilibrium? Chemical equilibrium is nothing but whenever the changes happen in the chemical properties. Okay, and that chemical equilibrium. And now we are going to see the ionic equilibrium in solutions. Okay, so that means mostly you know that what is this ionic equilibrium is, that it is very simple. In this equilibrium it involves only the ions. Okay, so you know the difference between molecules and ions. Okay, generally the ion possesses the charge, either positive charge or a negative charge. Okay, so that means whatever that equilibrium with the ions that we are going to be discuss in the ionic equilibrium. Okay, so earlier we didn't focus on the specially ion, what is whether it is ion or not. Okay, but in this ionic equilibrium we are strictly going to be focused on the equilibriums with the ions, with the at least one ion. Okay, right. Okay. So you see the best example, that Fe3 plus ion in the aqueous means already we have just now we started this topic as in solutions, the ionic equilibrium in solutions. Okay, that means mostly whatever that salt or a chemical, when it dissociate into the ions, generally you will, when you dissolve in a solution. Okay, so the best example, you know that the sodium chloride, when you dissolve into the water, it will dissociate and gives the sodium plus and Cl minus ions. Okay, and without that, before that, there is no ions, right? Okay, so generally whatever that molecules, when they dissolve into the solution, they'll convert into the ions. Okay, so that means it is mostly related to that. In generally we will read into in the solutions. Okay, so that the iron 3 plus ions in the water, aqueous means that is in the water solution. Okay, and it is reacting with the SCN minus, thiocyanate aqueous, that means again it is in the water. Okay, and when it is reacted with the iron 3 plus, it forms a complex. Okay, FeSCN2 plus complex. Okay, and this complex generally it is in equilibrium with the reactants Fe3 plus and SCN minus. Okay, so look at here, Fe3 plus is an ion and SCN is also SCN minus is also an ion, and even this complex is also an ion because it has some charge. Okay, so all are ions here. So that is the reason we are talking this we are discussing in the ionic equilibrium concept. Okay, and don't think that there is a huge difference between the chemical equilibrium and ionic equilibrium. It is almost same. Okay, right. And before going to this, generally you know that in the following sections we will study the equilibria involving ions, only ions. Okay, and it is well known that the aqueous solution of sugar. Okay, so before going to that, one example I want to tell you. Just now we have discussed, when you take that sodium chloride, solution, when you take the sodium chloride into the water, what will happen? It will dissociate and gives the Na plus and Cl minus ions. Okay, just I am writing here. So Na sodium chloride, whatever that, when you dissolve into the water, it will convert into the Na plus and Cl minus ions. Okay, you know that. But one more example, I'll take that sugar C6H12O6. Let us take it as a glucose. Okay, and you know that the glucose also can dissolve into the water. Okay, can dissolve into the water, and when you dissolve into the water, does it give that ions? Does it dissociate into the ions? Does that sugar glucose, glucose convert into the ions? No, there is no formation of ions. Okay, so that means this glucose dissolution into the water cannot come under the ionic equilibrium because it is not forming an ion, right? Okay, so what you will read in the ionic equilibrium, mostly whatever that compounds or molecules, when it dissociate into the ions, then only you will read in this section. Okay, so if that compound, if that does not form an ion, okay, అసలు కాంపౌండ్ అయాన్సే ఫామ్ చేయలేదు అనుకోండి, then obviously we are not going to be focused on these things. Okay, so that is the reason why first you should know what molecules produce ions in solutions. Okay, so this you have to know, right? Because this is very, very important. Once if you know that what compound can dissociate and gives the ions, then easily you can say that okay, these are the molecules or compounds we can study under the ionic equilibrium. Okay, the best, two examples. Sodium chloride can dissociate into the ions, but the glucose cannot dissociate into the ions. Okay, so that to know these, generally there is a very famous scientist, that is a Michael Faraday. The Michael Faraday, he was classified the substances, compound, into two categories based on their ability to conduct the electricity. Okay, so that is very simple to understand that the Michael Faraday, Michael Faraday classified these compounds or substance based on some property. What is that property? Electricity, electric conductance. Okay, electricity or electric conductance. He classified those substances into two types. One is the electrolytes, another one is the non-electrolytes. Okay, so what is the electrolyte? Generally, mostly these electrolytes, when you dissolve into the solution, gives the ions. But these non-electrolytes, when you dissolve in the solutions, it cannot give or it cannot form any ions. Okay, so what is why he kept this name as electrolytes and non-electrolytes? For that you learned in somewhere, but again I am telling that what is that electrolyte. Generally the electrolyte carries the electricity or produce the electricity when it is in the solutions. Okay, the best example, that you take a pure water, distilled water. You take distilled water and you take the two electrode. This is there in the in your 10th class, and connected to a battery and with a bulb, right? You connect with a bulb. Okay, and when you passes the electricity, what will happen? If this is the pure water, does this bulb glow? No, right? Because here the electricity from the one electrode to the another electrode, the electricity cannot pass, because the pure water does not carry any electricity, because the pure water doesn't have ions. It doesn't have any ions, so that it cannot carry, it cannot shows any electricity. Okay, but when you can see the passage of electricity is that very simple. When you add a little amount of sodium chloride, a pinch of sodium chloride, what will happen? When you added a pinch of sodium chloride salt, immediately you can see the glowing of this bulb. Okay, because the sodium chloride, when you dissolves into the water, that will convert into the Na plus and Cl minus. Okay, and these ions responsible for the electricity. So simply you can say that conductance. Okay, okay, so that is the reason why generally whatever that compounds, these compounds, because here sodium chloride is carrying the electricity. Okay, so that is the reason why sodium chloride called it as a electrolyte. Okay, so what is the electrolyte? Simply the electrolyte is nothing but which can carries the electricity when it dissolves into the solution, Okay, so simply what is the another meaning is that simply when these compounds dissolves into the solution, that will convert into the ions. Okay, and these ions are responsible to carry the electricity. Okay, and then what are the non-electrolytes? Very simple. Here these non-electrolyte, when you dissolve into the solution, they cannot form ions. Okay, if there is no ions in the solution, asal ions form cheyakapoyedunte, where is the passage of the electricity? No, right? Okay, that is the reason they call it as a non-electrolyte. Okay, the best example is that glucose, urea, and you take there some methanol. Okay, best examples, right? Non-electrolytes. Okay, so just we can go to our notes. With that you can understand very easily, clearly, right? Okay, so let us go back to our notes, right? So what is an electrolyte? An electrolyte is nothing but a substance whose aqueous solution conducts an electric current, is called as electrolyte. Okay, and what is the example? HCl, HBr, HNO3, H2SO4, strong acids, strong bases, and all the salts are nothing but the electrolytes. Okay, and what is a non-electrolyte? A non-electrolyte is nothing but a substance whose aqueous solution does not conduct an electric current. Okay, so why it is not showing that conductance is that it is not forming any ions in the solution. Okay, it is not forming any ions in the solutions. Okay, so the examples are glucose, urea, kerosene, methanol, and so and so things. Okay, right. So with this you understood that, so whatever that compounds you have, that you can classify it into a electrolyte as well as the non-electrolytes. Okay, and now these non-electrolytes, in the non-electrolytes we cannot see any ionic equilibrium, right? Okay, because in the non-electrolyte, these non-electrolytes generally cannot form the ions. Asal ions form cheyakapoyedunte, you cannot see ionic equilibrium. Okay, and where you can observe these ionic equilibrium? Generally in the electrolytes. Okay, and again all that electrolytes shows the equilibrium reactions or ionic equilibrium. Okay, so you find a point that all that electrolytes shows an equilibrium in the solution while dissolving right? No. Okay, so not all the electrolytes. Okay, again in that only weak electrolytes shows the equilibrium and strong electrolytes cannot shows the equilibrium. Okay, so again the Faraday, one more time, the Faraday further classified these electrolytes into two types, strong and weak electrolytes. Strong and weak electrolytes. Okay, what is the strong electrolyte? The strong electrolyte is nothing but these on dissolution. That means when you dissolve into the water are ionized almost completely. That means when you dissolve into the water, that will almost completely ionize. Okay, so you take the sodium chloride, it is almost 100% ionized into the water. Okay, so that means all the sodium chloride will convert and form the Na plus ion and Cl minus ions. Okay, and those you call it as a strong electrolytes. Okay, and these, okay, first we can see the weak electrolytes. So what about the weak electrolyte? Generally the weak electrolytes are partially dissociated. That means when you take a salt, that will dissociate up to a 5% or 10% or somewhere 20 or 30%. Okay, it cannot dissociate completely. Okay, right. So now the question is that which electrolyte forms the equilibrium in the reactions? Is that only the weak electrolytes shows the equilibrium in the solutions, and the strong electrolytes cannot shows any equilibriums in the reactions. Okay, because you know that the sodium chloride, let us take an example. When you dissolve sodium chloride into the water, what will happen? It is almost 100% convert into the Na plus Cl minus, so that it is a one direction, right? It is only the one directional reaction. Okay, so here it is only the forward reaction takes place, and there is no chance of backward reaction. Okay, at this simultaneously you cannot see any backward reaction. Okay, so that is the reason it is a only a one directional type of reaction. And you take the another example, the acetic acid, CH3COOH, acetic acid. Okay, generally it is a weak electrolyte. And when you take that acetic acid into the water, what will happen? Some of the acetic acid will dissociate into the acetate ion plus H plus ions. Okay, but how much is that? It is only up to 5%. And again these acetate ion and H plus ions combine and form the acetic acid simultaneously. Okay, so that after 5% dissociation, of course there are some factors which will influence on this, not exactly the 5%. Okay, so let us assume after 5% of the dissociation of the acetic acid, again the acetate ion and H plus ion start to come back. Okay, so that means here at the same time the forward reaction and backward reaction, both are happening. Okay, so you can see now, you can say this is nothing but an equilibrium reaction. Okay, already we have discussed in the beginning of this whatever that lesson, only the irreversible reactions, only the reversible reactions can form the equilibriums. Okay, so this is a irreversible in the solution, and this is a reversible. Okay, so that is the thing we are going to be see in this lesson. So you see the example, sodium chloride and acetic acid. Sodium chloride completely dissociate into the sodium and chloride ions in their aqueous solution, while acetic acid undergoes undergo less than 5% ionization. Okay, therefore it contains unionized acetic acid. You call it as unionized acetic acid and some acetate ions and hydronium ions. Okay, why I am calling hydronium is that generally these H plus ions are very strong, so it cannot exist as such, so it will react with the water immediately and form the H3O plus. Okay, this you call it as a hydronium ion. Hydronium ions. Okay, right. So you see this is a type of irreversible and this is a type of reversible, and here it is forming the equilibrium. Okay, right. So in most of the cases it is noted that in weak electrolytes equilibrium is established between ions and unionized molecules. Okay, so this type of equilibrium involving ions and aqueous solution is called as ionic equilibrium. Okay, now you got it right. What is the ionic equilibrium? Generally it possesses the ions, but again in that mostly the weak electrolytes forms the shows the ionic equilibrium because it establishes an equilibrium involving ions in the aqueous solution with the unionized molecules Okay, so let us see few weak electrolytes. Example, acetic acid, it is a weak acid, and ammonium hydroxide, it is a weak base. Okay, right. If you want to see, you see that table 7.6 and 7.7 in your textbook, and there you can see many examples for the weak electrolytes. Okay, let us see. These are the weak acids: hydrofluoric acid, nitrous acid, formic acid, and niacin, acetic acid, benzoic acid, hypochlorous acid, and hydrocyanic acid, and phenol. These are all weak acids, and for that you can see the ionization constant. Okay, so how can we measure the ionization constant? Just we can discuss later. Okay, and you see some sort of bases, weak bases. So dimethylamine, triethylamine, ammonia, quinine, pyridine, aniline, as well as the urea. These are all weak bases. So for that you can see the Kb value. Okay, that is the ionization constant of base. Kb, ionization constant of base. Okay, right. So let us, you assume there is a weak acid, HX is a weak acid, you assume it is a weak acid, and when you dissolve into the water, it will convert into the H plus ions as well as the X minus ions, and already I am telling it is a weak acid. Okay, so that it cannot dissociate completely, and so that it forms some kind of equilibrium, some sort of equilibrium here. Okay, so for that, how can you write that equilibrium constant? That is K is equal, very simple, the concentrations of the product divided by the concentrations of the reactant. Okay, so that is the concentration of the product H plus. Here it is only one H plus ions is there, so that you write it 1 here. Okay, and here is only one X minus is there, so that you write the 1 here. Okay, so here is also only 1 mole of HX is there, so you write it 1. Okay, so generally these equilibrium constant you can also call it as a ionic equilibrium constant. Ionic equilibrium constant. Okay, so now you understood, right, what is this concept. Okay, so now go for the previous example. The previous example we have discussed, right, this one. So for this, what is the ionic equilibrium constant is that, how can you measure is that, very simple, the concentrations of the products divided by the concentrations of the product of the concentrations of the reactants. Okay, so that is, what is the product? Here is the product divided by these two are the reactants. Okay, so this is the introduction and a little explanation about the ionic equilibrium and what can involve in the ionic equilibrium, and how can you measure the ionic equilibrium constant. Okay, so in the next lecture we are going to see that the next topic, that is acid, bases and some salts. Okay, already you know what is the acid and base and what is the salt, and but there are some definitions, okay, that you have to be know. Okay.